Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my ranking of Brandon Sanderson's 4 secret projects from the biggest Kickstarter in history. I saw a few videos ranking the secret projects, and I think I have an interesting ranking. My number 1 and 2 probably aren't that controversial, but my number 3 and 4 are controversial. So, I thought I would do a just brief ranking video on them. I have done a full Cosmere video that I did sometime last year, so it doesn't include Yumi and Sunlet Man, but it does include most of the other Cosmere novels and stories. And I recorded that last year. You can look it up. So this isn't talking about all the Cosmere. It's just ranking the 4 secret projects that have come out. And there is a 5th secret project releasing eventually because Sanderson never sleeps. So I'll read that and review it when it comes out in 2025 sometime. But for now, let me talk about the 4 secret projects and rank them from the worst to the best. Let's start with my number 4, and that is The Sunlet Man. This is the only Brandon Sanderson book and the only, and also by extension, only Cosmere novel that I just didn't care for. This book was trying to tell a big sci-fi story, and it felt the most bland of all 4 of the secret projects, and it felt the most connected to the Cosmere, but at the same time, it didn't have that much of an identity behind it, and the story it was telling just wasn't that enthralling to me. It didn't really have deep characters or deep themes as much, or it didn't have a real deep story. The story was just okay. However, what this does have is really detailed world building and magic systems. So if that's your thing, this book is just incredible. But if that's not your thing, like me, it doesn't work as well. So I gave this one like a 5 out of 10. Next, we have my number 3 ranking in my ranking. I think that putting Sunlet Man at 4 is by far the most controversial because I think that everyone else has Frugal Wizard's Handbook at 4. But I put Sunlet Man because I just didn't care for it. But my number 3 is Frugal Wizard's Handbook. Yes, I actually quite enjoyed this one. I can recognize it's not the strongest book, and in some cases, Brandon makes some decisions that I just didn't care for. But as a whole, this is an entertaining book. I mean, the whole concept of time travel disaster tourism and the whole concept of someone buying this opportunity to go to a different universe and then kind of losing their memory and having to use the handbook and then having all the shenanigans that happen in this book, plus all the surprises and the twists and turns that are in it. It just makes for a great mystery and just a really, really entertaining story. As I said, there's some stuff I would have changed, so I only gave this like a 7 out of 10. It's an entertaining book, but it's not top tier Sanderson. In fact, if I had to rank all of Sanderson's books, right after Sunlit Man at the bottom would be this one. So when your second to worst book is still a really entertaining book, you're a good author. So anyway, that's Frugal Wizard's Handbook. This was an interesting and entertaining book, but not the best. My number 2 ranking in the Cosmere is Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. Yes, this is an Asian-inspired story. This is very much focused on these 2 Asian-inspired cultures from essentially 2 different worlds. The characters are somehow magically connected, and because of that, they have to basically hop back and forth between their worlds, and they're trying to figure out what the connection is and why this is happening, and there's huge twists along the way, and this is just a delightful romance. I mean, this is just a delightful romance to read unfold. I just absolutely had a blast reading this book. The inspirations for this book are just not naturally stories that I'm drawn to, and also I thought that the end he just went full Sanderson in some ways, which is just not necessarily my favorite aspect of it. However, I still think it's a very entertaining book, so I gave it like an 8.7 out of 10, like a really, really solid book. But still, when you think about all the books in the Cosmere, I still think it's on the weaker end because I just think some of the books in the Cosmere are that amazing. Now, that was my number 2, and I've mentioned weaker parts of the Cosmere. But there is one book on here which is top-tier Sanderson in my view, and that is my number 1, which is, yes, the first of the secret projects, Tress of the Emerald Sea. This was a I think, a very smart decision to release this book first, because it really set the fandom off in a positive way. This is the kind of fairy tale fantasy story, very much inspired by The Princess Bride, which I love that movie, and it has this kind of fun romp to it where Tress is trying to basically rescue her boyfriend, for lack of a better plot description. And the world building here is I actually really love, and I was really invested in it. The world building and magic systems of the other books I thought were tedious, whereas the world building and magic system here I thought was delightful and relatable and easy to understand. And so I really enjoyed that aspect of this book, and I loved the characters involved. There are a few Cosmere connections, which I enjoyed in this book. Not as many as, say, Sunlet Man, but there's a few in here that I enjoyed. And then this just has some awesome ending sequences that I thought were delightful. And so that's why this comes in at my number one. I think it's one of the best books. It's for sure the best of the Secret Projects. I think it's a really solid Cosmere novel as well. I think I'd probably put it now that, like, in the top 5, I think maybe 5 or 6, somewhere around there. It's a solid Cosmere novel. So that is my ranking of the 4 secret projects that released from last year. It was a big deal in the publishing industry. And so if you've read these novels, let me know what was your ranking, and how did we differ, and how wrong am I about the Sunlit Man and Frugal Wizard's Handbook. Let me know all those thoughts in the comments section down below. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.